Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about, well, things all over the place. My OCD. No, really. Actually, no. It's from Lord of the Rings on Prime. Good lord, these people are dumb. Well, let's go and read this garbage, shall we? We'll stand in solidarity with our casts. Okay, so since you're not going to help, let's zoom in from the browser itself. Let's read. When the cast of Lord of the Rings of Power stands together in absolute solidarity and against the relentless racism, threats, harassment, abuse some of our castmates of colorics are being subjected to on daily basis, we refuse to ignore it and tolerate it. Well, if you refuse to ignore it, why don't you go and share some receipts? Is it going to be exactly like that Moses Ingram type, where the hate she received was so bland in comparison to what I received that even I laughed. There was one that I said, oh, maybe it could be classified like that, but still very bland in comparison to the hate I get from leftists, and that includes neo-Nazis as well. Well, of course not. They don't want to destroy the narrative. After all, evidence destroys narratives. Facts destroy narratives. But even more so, let me put it this way. What fans are nagging about is because you idiots disrespected... Jesus, English is hard for me today. The lore and Tolkien. You idiots disrespected the fans. You idiots destroyed Tolkien's work. You absolute troglodytes. You race swapped. You made him a complete and total idiot by destroying everything. You pretty much just rewrote the entire Galadriel story in your goddamn fucking moronic TV show. God damn it. And it's the fans that are the problem, not Amazon, of course. J.R.R. Tolkien created a world which, by definition, is multicultural. Well, yes, it's multicultural. In fact, there is a definition of... he defined the races and he described the skin color and how they look in overall. You're gonna see that if you want to add black people, you have to actually use the races in which they are represented in his work. You can't just go there and race swap an elf and things like that. And besides, this is a very specific fucking work with a very specific set of lore. If you want to have a black elf, then go and do Dungeons and Dragons, which has no problems with fucking race swapping. Or as in this case, having a black elf or an Asian elf. There is no problem there. Ah, fuck me. Are we dealing with retards here? Because it feels like that. This is a very specific lore. This is a very specific story. It's not Dungeons and Dragons where you can actually do that. It's not Dragon Age, despite your work being very similar to Dragon Age. It's none of those things where you can actually go and have a black dwarf. Simple. But no. Let's be retarded about it and blame the fans, right? Because it's never you. It's always the fans. A world in which free people from different races and cultures join together in fellowship to defeat the forces of evil Nixon. Rings of Power reflects that a world has never been all white. Fantasy has never been all white. Middle-earth is not all white. Yes, you're right, but these races in the Middle-earth created by fucking Tolkien were of European descent or white. There are races in Middle-earth where you could actually cast black people or Asians. In fact, I'm gonna go right ahead. Where is the goddamn fucking Asian representation? Where is the Japanese representation in there? The Korean representation? Where is the Vietnamese representation? I'm not saying that. Where is the Aboriginal representation? Oh, right. Because it's one very specific fucking race in which you go, this race represents everybody, the Latinos. Go suck a cock, you morons. You respect the lore. If you want to do, like I said, if you want to do Black Elves, which I have no problem with, use Dungeons and Dragons, where that happens. The fucking end. BIPOC, bisexual or bipolar, because of Cotton belong in Middle-earth and they're here to stay. So basically you're trying to throw a temper tantrum and destroying the lore because you people are absolutely triggered over it. Fascinating. Finally, our love and fellowship go out to the fans supporting us, especially fans of Colorixon, who are themselves being attacked simply for existing in this fan. None of them were attacked. Well, actually, they did get attacked, like Eric July and other people of darker skin complexion, or even me, Latino, got attacked because we decided not to defend this garbage. Those are the people who are being attacked, not the fans of Colorixon. And another thing, fans of color, are you idiots aware that this thing is reminiscent of the word colored people or colored fans? Because that feels very racist in my opinion, and quite frankly, that makes you, Amazon, racist. Will you admit your racism? Not likely. We see your bravery and endless creativity. Your cosplays, fan cams, and insights make this community a richer place and reminds us of our purpose. To censor the reviews, attack fans who do not agree with the garbage you guys made, attack everybody who disagrees with your nonsense, and, well, not allow reviews on Amazon because you people are triggered. After all, this is the go-to when a show fails. No, let me finish this. You're valid, you're loved, and you belong, and you're an integral part of LOTr family. Thanks for having our backs. Suck a cock. Because I am a Latino, and this nonsense, this attack on fans of Lord of the Rings, on Tolkien's work, because you people have no respect of it, and besides your purpose is to destroy Tolkien's work, let's not even mince words over here, and let's not even pretend otherwise, because pretending otherwise is just... it's just being silly. We all know you're here to destroy his work. You're here to completely and totally destroy it. Let's not pretend otherwise. Either way, they do this because they know they fucked up. So instead of blaming themselves, they blame the fans. Because look at this. Samba TV Prime Video's Rings of Power falls short of Stranger Things 4. This is from Media Play News. I used it on the news yesterday. In other words, Lord of the Rings was absolutely fucking bad. In fact, its number is just barely above another disappointment called She-Hulk, in which it was one of the lowest premieres or releases on Disney Plus ever. One of. I'm not saying it was the lowest, but that goes to Miss Marvel or something like that. Here is what it says. Indeed, 1.8 million US households watched The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Jesus Christ, why do you keep using Lord of the Rings? It's not Lord of the Rings. This thing is more Rings of Throne. You know, it's a copycat. It's a goddamn fucking clone of Game of Thrones. Stop pretending it is otherwise. Anyway, episode 1 on Prime Video during the L plus 3D. September 1 to 4th window, another 1.3 million US households watched episode 2. So in other words, basically, if I recall correctly, 1.4 was the release of She-Hulk. That's how bad it was. So basically, on the first goddamn episode, you got 400. No, wait, was 1.3 for She-Hulk, something like that. I think I remember now. 1.3 for She-Hulk, so you basically managed to get 500,000 more than that. And another 1.3. Or was it 1.5 for She-Hulk? Either way, you guys just barely went there. You guys barely did anything. You guys barely managed to beat She-Hulk. And then the funny thing is that you lost 500,000 viewers on the second episode. After all, I can't blame these people because the acting was subpar. You can actually see the clips, you can see how bad the acting was. It's kind of like watching a goddamn fucking community college overacting. It's just bad. Really bad. But then again, this is not new because they actually went on and said this. To LA Times, quoting them, LOTr Prime. We are really proud of the cast that we have in the show. We welcome a discussion, even criticism around this series. No, you do not, because you still haven't enabled user reviews of your goddamn fucking shitty show. IMDb, which is owned by Amazon, has been deleting reviews that are lower than 5 or 6. So, that tells a lot, doesn't it?
However, we will not condone racism of any kind.
Obviously, you're gonna do that because, after all, you people are retards. But the best thing is that the other champion of people who actually do that thing, blaming fans, decided to reply. Star Wars, the people who are okay with nonce type of stuff. I covered this in a few videos ago. No single condemnation of the Star Wars Twitter of some people doing relationships with Obi-Wan and Leia as a kid. Right, here is what the Star Wars on Star Wars official account on Twitter said.
From Middle Earth, a galaxy far, far away, you are all welcome here. That's a virtual signal.
You morons. Let me go and show you that it's not really about racism, but it's about quality. Remember House of the Dragons, which is a show that has come out, which is the continuation of a very disappointing Season 8, and has a lot of race swaps. In fact, they even went on and admitted that the race swaps was because it's of diversity purposes. They admitted it. No ifs, no buts, they did. But even then, we can see here on Metacritic, with critics scoring 68, users 6.7, which is no difference statistically. There's no statistical difference between both. It's still loved by the fans because it's not the good stuff from Game of Thrones, and many people still have a sour taste on their mouth from Season 8 of Game of Thrones. But this one is House of the Dragon, and like I said, it still attacks males, it still has some problems, it still has race swaps. But even then, fans liked it. Why is that? Why is House of the Dragon an IP that is not even nowhere near close to the level of Lord of the Rings managed to get such a high score? Let's take a look. Lord of the Clones, Rings of Throne, or Rings of Power if you prefer, 71 for critics, 1.8 for users. For viewers. And both have race swaps. One has even a massive budget, even bigger than the Game of Thrones. And yet, their armor sucks. Their entire thing acting is sucky. Probably a few exceptions here or there on one actor or actress here or there, but overall it sucks. And yet, it sucked so bad And yet, House of the Dragons managed to get a higher score. Why is that? Let's take a look at Rotten Tomatoes, which is known to censor stuff. Let's take a look. 85 for critics, 84 for the audience. One of those rare situations in which critics and audience actually matches. And you can see, even with the race swaps, even with the goddamn fucking diversity hires and all of that stuff, people still liked it. Still watched it more than the goddamn fucking Lord of the Clones. Rings of Throne. Why is that? Let's take a look at Rotten Tomatoes. The Rings of Power once again. Lord of the Clones, The Rings of Throne. 84, loved by the critics. Hated by the audience at 39. Do you see the difference? Do you see why that excuse doesn't fly anymore? Do you see why it's a bad excuse to actually go and make an excuse for a shitty show? Exactly. There you go, Amazon. Go suck a cock. Go suck my goddamn fucking cock and lick my balls for you being such a failure. On that goddamn fucking hell. Have a great fucking night. And remember, do not let Amazon and the goddamn filthy shills gaslight you. Now you know the facts.